This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 26.
Welcome to the show that focuses on helping real estate agents build a bulletproof business plan so that they can sell more properties in less time and live a more fulfilled life.
Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to build a better real estate agent business, I've created a free jumpstart course. It's both for veterans and rookies over at freeagentgift.com. It'll really restructure you. So get over there and get started. freeagentgift.com. In this episode today, I want to cover formulas and outlines. There's been a very strong, I would say almost a debate between the forces of those who teach scripts and those who teach relational type of selling. And I believe in both. Look, anything that works should be incorporated into an overall formula or an outline, and that's what I want to talk about here today. But the first part that I want to start off is this concept of scripted versus freewheeling. See, I think when you meet an agent who's been taught everything should be scripted, everything should be outlined, they are really good formulaically. I mean, they do follow all these formulas, but they lose themselves. I mean, if you've ever heard somebody going through a script and reading it to you in a so-called role play, which, by the way, has a double edge to it. Role playing is great for practicing and incorporating these concepts in your head, but to try to remember it really is just enough to get you really screwed up on the phone or in face-to-face and disconnected from the person. And that's where the other side argues, well, look, I just go in and I freewheel. In other words, I just connect with these people. I'm an NLP guy or gal, and I know how to connect, and I know how to build that rapport. And that's great because it's important. But I find the problem with those agents is that they get off in the poppy fields with Dorothy, and the next thing you know, they're not even remembering to get the signed contract. I'm not saying that about top producers. They get it, and they ultimately close. But the freewheeling top producers, I find, have a problem scaling up because what are you scaling if you don't really know how to articulate it? So there's your battle, your scripteds versus your freewheelers. So one of the things that I think can help and helped us this week in our coaching program was considering a formulaic outline. So the context that we had was a seller outline for a face-to-face appointment. One of my mastermind members has a bunch of agents that are a little bit uneasy about going into a house. In fact, it's actually beyond uneasy. It's debilitatingly scared. In other words, they're just frozen and they can't go in without him. And that's no good because I think that's just enough to really pull you down under the water and keep you there for too long of a time. So you really have to just fall forward. So considering a formulaic outcome, I think is probably one of the most important things to keep you rooted. So at the TRC or the Realty Classroom, what we've done is we've created these free courses so for the buyer and for the seller, and those are really the full written out outlines where somebody can consider them. You're never going to remember that. By the way, I have a daughter who's a budding professional actress. If you're not a professional, don't try to remember a script and then make it real. It's just not going to come across well at all. So the outline is actually a cheat sheet. So like I said, at the TRC, what we've done is we've created and written out these full-blown courses, but more importantly, we've chunked them up into infographics, which are wonderful and fabulous image-based outlines. So my first recommendation for all of you is get a formulaic outline that you can bring with you to the property, in this case, the seller property, or you can have right in front of you on the phone. I think that's important so that you don't get lost, because while you're freewheeling and building rapport, which means you're listening to them and you're responding to where they take you, you're able to come back to the outline. Or you're able to relate what they are worried about or they're scared about and bring it back to the outline. That's really important, right? So the key here, though, is before you begin this formulaic approach to getting your outcome, you want to really discover and even rediscover why they're doing this with you or considering it with anybody. Why? I know that's an overused term these days, start with why. But when it comes to the formula, I'm talking about why from a motivational standpoint. What is motivating them to even be sitting there listening to you give your spiel about your formula and how it will help them? So we find that a lot of agents forget to do that over the phone. They get excited. They get an up call from a sign, or they meet somebody at an open house, or they're following up on their lead generation, whatever it is, and somebody just says, yes, sure, come on over. They don't really take a beat to go deep with that human being and say, great, I'm really excited to meet you and go over our formulaic approach to selling your property. I'm really excited to meet you. Can we meet for a few minutes to talk about my six steps to buying? So you set them there, but then you say, but before we meet, I'd just like to ask you, why are you making this move? Do you have to make this move? Now, I know people bristle at that. They say, well, why would you ever do that? Wouldn't you get in front of them first and close them? Well, I want to protect you. I want you to understand that there is a position of plenty. There are plenty of people that really are truly motivated to buy and sell every single day, every single year. If there were not, then there wouldn't be all these trillions of dollars that get sold every year all across the world, for that matter, right? So I really want you to understand it's okay to go in there a little bit more aggressively, I guess is the best way to say it, uncovering why this meeting is worth your time, not just theirs. You're going to explain to them why you think it's worth their time, because you've got this unique selling proposition of this formulaic approach that will lead them to the promised land. But why are you going? You should be only taking a deeper step with people that are revealing a true reason, a because. That's a trigger word, right? You're moving because. You can even state it that way. So remember, discover it on the phone. Hey, why are you making this move? Where are you going? Do you really need to sell this property? Sounds like you did a lot of work to it, right? So you'll really get them to root out and read their mind out loud to you, so you know their motivation for moving. You're not always trying to just talk at them with these provocative questions. Just ask simple, straightforward questions. Why are you moving? That's it. And let them respond. Then what we have to do is go through that formulaic outline and approach and say, look, that's great. You have a real reason to move. I get it. I can help. Here's my formula. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm not going to go through that in this podcast here, but you get it. Now you can go through this outline, because you asked them, by the way, for that too. You asked them for that opportunity. So we've established this first beat in the formula. Why are you doing it? We established this second beat in the formula. Here's what I'm going to take you through in a unique way. And ultimately, the last piece of this is, don't forget why you're there. You want to determine a clear outcome and close if the close is there. Now, of course, the closing will be set up most of the time if you've done a good job over the phone determining why and understanding, are they going to be ready to make a decision in your favor when you come over? I know that sounds absurd to ask before you've ever come over there, but look, we ask all the time. Are you planning on listing when Danny comes over? Well, it depends on what he has to say. Okay, fair enough. Are you interviewing other agents? Well, yes, a couple. Well, we ask that we come in last so that we can, our comprehensive plan can be compared to everybody else's. See, it's just logic, right? Don't try to remember what I just said there. It's just logic. You just want to think, am I setting myself up for the close? Because when I get there, I'm going to go through that next formula and I'm going to close. So let's just walk through that as part of this podcast, okay? I'm going to arrive with the pre-qualifying questions in a folder. So in other words, all those questions about why they're doing this, what they think it's worth, am I up against anybody for competition? I am set up for success by knowing that information. That's the first beat, preparedness. The second beat is connection with them and their property. So you ask for the tour of the property so that you can take a look at what are we about to discuss, because you're going to need to know two things. Number one, how are they going through the process already with you? When they take you through the property, what sort of a personality are they displaying? DISC, dominant, influential, supportive, compliant. All those things will be revealed. Are there a couple of partners, spouses, brothers, sisters? Who's walking around the property with you? Who seems more into it or not? It's a discovery phase. It's a beat. It's a connection moment. That's for all you freewheelers or rapport builders. That's a great opportunity. But also for your pragmatist, you're seeing the product itself. So you know, do I have above or below average product here when I get to pricing it right? Then you sit down. And again, now we're into Are they concerned about the process? We know why they're doing this, but anytime somebody's about to enter the single largest financial and emotional transaction, there's typically a worry or a concern, and it might be about us or the process. So just ask, hey, thanks for the tour of the property. Before we get started here tonight, and I take you through my formulaic approach and show you how that's going to benefit you, is there anything you're worried about? What concerns you the most? So now they have an opportunity to express themselves more specifically about the process. Because if you have a good generalized formulaic approach, you're going to be able to relate their worry to one of the beats in your outline and go a little bit deeper on that so they're certain you're listening and they're certain you have a solution. See, a lot of us are getting all excited about our formulas and our outlines, and we're babbling at them or talking at them, and we're not engaging them. See, people will support what they help create. So if they help create this two-way conversation, they'll tend to support it more so that by the time you get to the closing, it's there and ready and available. But before you get there, I just want to say transparently and very clearly what I do. After I've gone through that process, I've highlighted their concerns. I ask one more time, is there any concern that I didn't cover that you wanted to express or any questions about this process? No. Great. Let's move on to the pricing it right, which, as you see from my formula, is the very first step. I'm going to teach you today what the potential trading range could be, and then how steps 2 and 3 between reconditioning the property and staging it will get us set up for marketing. So you see, it's just smooth. When you just have everything so organized like that and generalized, it's not some unique, look at me, I'm sharing it for all the world to hear what I do. Because really, it's ultimately about, will you stick to the formula? Will you be good at having them understand this simple approach? And will you have listened well enough to make them feel like you give them the best chance to win? And then when you're done with all of that, ask them for the business. Stop talking at that point in time. You are there for a reason. Ask them for the listing. Do you think you'd like to get started now? I mean, again, that's a question. I know some of my scripters are going to say, oh, say something more aggressive than that. Well, then great. Let's just get started. Just sign here. Whatever you are. I'm not going to argue that place for you because we're getting into a whole other can of worms about what you're comfortable saying and not. But ask for the close. I don't care how you ask for it. Ask for the business. Now, one little caveat before I wrap this podcast episode, okay? Not everybody is going to make a decision in your favor there. Sure, all the scripters, I know you guys are all going to sit there and say, yeah, but keep asking and don't leave. I'm not going to agree with you, okay? I'm going to push back there, and I'm going to say I have done plenty of business where I did not close it on the first trip because they asked me for more time, and I respected that. And I knew why. You heard that theme a lot today. I knew why they wanted more time, and I gave it to them. I knew why they needed more of my education and then time to implement it. Okay. There were real reasons for extending it. However, the minute I walk out the door, we have really, really good follow-up. We know exactly when we're supposed to be following up with this person, and we stay close and we continue to add value. We continue to upgrade their information. So in other words, if it's a seller, they're now on a drip from the MLS, getting all the sold properties the minute it happens around them. So we become the purveyor of good additional information post-presentation. Very important part. I'll pick up on that in another episode. Okay. So let's chunk it up and review these bullet points here. Point number 1, or the general concept today, is formulas and outlines. They do matter. So we have this point where we're talking about scripted versus freewheeling. Somewhere in the middle, they both matter. Freewheelers, you're the rapport builders. Scripters, you're the outline folks. Find your true voice in there without babbling, okay? That's my conclusion on that point. A formulaic outline will help that because when you get lost even in either way, scripters, you get thrown off by a question they ask. Freewheelers, you lose in yourself in the personal conversation. Come back to the outline. Just reach over, grab and say, let's get back to this here and go to this point. The next point is the real key in this, though, before and during, is to discover and rediscover and keep asking, rooting it out. Why are they really doing this? Because you need somebody to be truly motivated so that they can hear you and follow your formula so you get the outcome. And that leads to the last point. Determine the clear outcome for your presentation, which is to close them, get the business. That's what we're doing here. So summarizing the whole key point here, focus on connecting with your avatar's reason for moving and follow your formula. Now, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free video course over at freeagentgift.com. If you like what you've learned here, then we'd appreciate it if you would share these insights with other entrepreneurial real estate agents just like you so that they can find their way here to join us. We'd appreciate that. And of course, don't forget to subscribe or follow us on whichever platform you're listening. And a positive review is always appreciated. We also broadcast our live sales training on Facebook every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So remember to like our page so you won't miss the notification. Hey, thanks for listening, and we look forward to helping you in the next episode.
You've been listening to The Realty Classroom with Danny Griffin. Join us next time to continue learning how to build a smarter real estate agent business plan that helps you live a more fulfilled life.